I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First order of business is the minutes from the March 24th meeting. Do I have a motion to accept those as written?
So moved.
Make the motion.
Joe made the motion. Ed seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Carried. We have some revenue reports for March. Building and zoning is $65,685. Public Works is $4,974.62. Highway is $2,400. Justice Sullivan Biseglia is $21,138. Justice O'Hare is $15,492. Recreation is $30,293.21. And the town clerk is $2,010.14. Do I have a motion to accept the revenue report?
I have a question.
Sure.
How many months now has it been since we haven't gotten a report from planning?
Last month they were there, Joe. I'm pretty sure.
Pardon me?
I don't know. I will look into that.
Okay, thank you. I'll make that motion.
I think we got a couple of old ones. Was it last meeting or the meeting before? But you're right. I think we're backlogged. I'll find out what's going on with that.
I'll make the motion.
Second by Gary.
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Carried.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the second. Was it Gary or Ed?
Here.
Hey, Chris, can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
In your correspondence, there is a letter from a resident complaining about his assessment and to some degree, Mr. Taft's job performance, I guess. I asked Kelly to remove that from the website because I'd prefer not to have that kind of correspondence sitting out there for other residents to kind of tag team on. I would just say this, as I'm sure you're all aware, the town board has no authority whatsoever to consider appeals of assessments. There's a completely separate legal process that's used for that. This particular person went to grievance, and grievance upheld our assessor's position as opposed to his, which may be somewhat of a testimony to just how valid his claims are. And of course, he could pursue it beyond that in court as well, which, to the best of my knowledge, he has not chosen to do. I wanted to include it just so you're aware of it, but I would say that the things that he says in there are, in my view, completely baseless, and his criticisms are a combination of a misunderstanding of how assessments work and unfair criticism of our assessor's job. I just wanted you to be aware of that. With your permission, I'll probably craft a response to him trying to straighten out some of the misrepresentations in there. And I'll probably close by simply saying that the town board has no role in considering these kinds of things, and that if he wants to pursue it, he'll have to pursue it according to the state-defined process.
Are you looking for a motion
That's
now?
good.
No, I don't need a motion to do that. I just wanted you to be aware this is going on, so he can't, contact one of you and say, well, I sent you guys a note and guess none of you saw it, or, something along those lines.
I feel better that I wasn't the only one that was confused.
Yeah, that's what's going on with it.
Okay.
Next item up is a resolution regarding senior exemptions. Let me explain to you what this is all about. As part of the governor's battery of orders over the last year or so related to COVID, you may or may not be aware that there is a kind of exemption related to tax or to assessments for senior citizens who make less than a certain amount of money per year. In order to keep that valid, they're required by law to come in each year with their income statements and IRS forms to demonstrate that they're still eligible. Last year, the governor put an order in place because of restrictions and town halls being closed and it being dangerous and so forth, saying that the people would not have to automatically recertify to keep their exemption during the pandemic. He has renewed that for this year as well. However, this provision allows us, as you're also probably aware, exemptions are attached to parcels and property, not necessarily the owner themselves. And what this resolution allows for is it allows the assessor to require that the person come in and recertify the exemption if he has reason to believe that the ownership has changed, right? If somebody who's, I don't know, 75 and has an exemption sells his house to somebody that's 23, then that obviously should not continue. That person should have to come in and show that they're eligible. And so that's pretty much all that is. So do I have any questions or a discussion? And if not, do I have a motion?
Am I allowed to vote on this?
Yes, you are.
Okay, good. Because I'm,
Why are you eligible?
Yes.
Yeah, but it would only affect you if you sold. It wouldn't affect you. It would only affect the person who bought your house. So
Okay.
not actually affected.
And I'm not going to worry about him.
Yeah.
I'll make the motion. Ed Jessup will make the motion to adopt the resolution.
Second by Gary.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Carried. Next is asking for us to make a proclamation for the 52nd Annual Professional Municipal Clerks Week. I will confess that I don't remember us doing this before, but in any event, have we done it in the past?
No, never. One of the clerk from Fishkill came across it and she decided to put something together for the press, and Marcus Molinaro and Sue Serino. And so they asked each town board if they would like to.
I think that's fine. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion by Gary.
I'll second that.
Richie, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Carried.
Nice.
Next is a request from Nancy Bowman. It has to do with the honor flights. For those of you who don't know what that is, the honor flights are flights that allow veterans to be flown to Washington, D.C. for a visit free of charge. They haven't been running them for a while for what I would consider to be obvious reasons, but I think they're resurrecting them. And what she's asking permission to do is they want to put up some double-sided signs advertising for the veterans to try to attract them to get onto the flight. And she's asking that the sign fee, the town sign fee, be waived. You need a sign permit, and our signs permits require fees, and she's asking that be waived. And
I'll make that motion.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Jones' motion. Ed Jessup will second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
I'm sorry. I think I heard Richie second.
Yeah,
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Next up is a request from the town judge. She is requesting that our part-time court clerk be granted a cost of living increase equivalent to what all the rest of the employees in the town got, from $22.66 to $23.34, which is, I don't know, about 70 cents or something along those lines. I explained to her that none of the part-time employees of the town got an increase this past year at all. The full-time people did, but none of the part-time did. And that Cindy, it was not any exception, but she asked that we put this on and you consider it. Is there any discussion?
No, that was my question was, is she part-time or full-time?
Yeah, she's
That
part-time.
answers it.
I don't think, there have been occasions where we've given part-time employees a raise, but it's not part of our annual budgeting process and hasn't been for any other employees. So my position is there's no reason to make an exception. I don't know if anybody else disagrees.
I agree, Alan.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, I'll tell
Excuse me. So you're going to make a motion to deny the request?
her. We can do that, I guess.
Yes, please.
I'll make the motion. Ed Jessup.
Do I have a second?
I'll
Do I have
second.
a second to deny the request?
Second by Gary.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Carried. Thank you. Let's see. Committee reports.
We're going to do the request for a class?
Pardon me?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm missing that, right. We have a kind of a late breaking request from the building inspector to attend training next week. It's in Poughkeepsie, so he won't be needing to stay in any hotels or anything. Plus, based on his experience in Hawaii, I suspect he's not interested in doing that. It's a $300 registration. This is one of the usual things with him, right? You have to pay for the registration fee. It's required training.
They have this
So
every year.
I recommend that we approve it. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Hey, Al?
Yep.
Alan, it's 325 is the request.
Yeah, it's all mandatory.
Not to exceed?
Yeah, that's what Ken asked.
All right, not to exceed 325.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Also, I should mention that we've received a resignation of our court clerk, Pam. And so I'd like a motion to accept that resignation, please.
With regrets.
Second by Richie, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all opposed? Carried. Okay, back to committee reports. Anything from CAC?
No, well, I guess I could say that they're looking into all those parcels to see which one would be favorable to put a solar site on. Well, all the towns.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about that. I have been bugged a couple of times by the people who wanted to know whether we wanted to
Yeah.
take the town electricity and avail ourselves of that 10% discount. So at some
Yeah,
point, we
well, I
should
think
probably
what-
think about that.
Yeah, what John is doing is he's reviewing the parcels as to which one is closest to a hookup,
Right.
and that one would be suitable. The other ones would be too expensive to do. So
But
that's,
remember that we're actually talking about two different things here, right? One thing we could be talking about is taking town land and putting some kind of a solar field on it. If we do not do that, we can simply sign up to have the town access another solar field somewhere else, and we automatically get a 10% discount on our electric costs for the year, which I think we should probably pursue if we don't find a way to do it the other way. So I think we wait until we get some kind of a determination from them, and then if not, we'll go that route.
good.
You wait too long, though, it will be filled up on all those, so you gotta do it sooner than later.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. That's a good point.
We could do it parallel.
Getting filled up right now.
Yeah. All right. I'll take another look at the contracts they sent us then, because I haven't really poured through those as closely as I would like.
That reminds me, we met with that fella and he was sending you all kinds of stuff. Did
Yeah.
he ever send it?
Yeah, we have that stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I can make copies and put it in everybody's box, which reminds me, before I forget, I printed off copies of our first quarter financial status report that I do quarterly, and they're in your mailbox anytime you're interested to come in and get them. Anything else, Joe?
No, that's it. Thanks.
Anything from highway?
No.
Anything from business and economic development?
No,
Recreation?
Nope.
Open space?
no.
Any town board comments of any kind? I'd like to bring something up. The mayors and supervisors May meeting is going to be held at Freedom Park in our pavilion.
Oh,
And I'd like to make a motion to waive the fees associated with that since it
So-
comes out of taxpayers' pocket. And
I'll second that motion.
I'll make the motion, Alan.
I made the motion, Joe seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all opposed? Carried, thanks. And Simply Gourmet, which is a town business, is doing the catering, so
Awesome.
I think it's a good deal.
Nice.
I think the people are still a little nervous about meeting indoors, so that's why we're having it there. June's, I believe, is going to be in Pine Plains at one of their parks as well. But I wanted to let you know.
Nice.
Anything from the town attorney?
Nothing.
Do we want to open this up for public comment?
Does the town attorney promise that there'll be nothing from him this month?
Hopefully.
We have a motion open for public.
I'll
I'll
make
make that motion.
open up.
Do I have a motion to open it up for public comment?
So moved.
I'll
Do I have a
second.
second?
Richie seconds that.
All in favor? Aye, all opposed? Carried. Do we have any public questions or comments? Do I have a motion to close the public comments?
So moved by Ed Jessup.
Second by Gary.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all opposed? Carried.
Alan,
Yes, ma'am.
I didn't get the second.
Gary.
Thank you.
Right.
In your package, you should have 4 draft changes to our town code for your consideration. It's not on there for us to discuss this evening in detail. I just wanted to give you copies of it so you can look at it. Just so I'll explain what all 4 of them are individually so you know what the background is. The solar energy systems and the standards for special permits are kind of grouped together. Our standards for special permits in the town require that any application for a special use permit is subject to site plan review. If you look at the requirements for site plan reviews, they're pretty clearly targeted at commercial development, and we have kind of an anomaly where if people are going to put up some solar ground-mounted solar in their backyard, they need to go, they technically are subject to site plan review. As I said, most of the requirements there don't make any sense. For example, they have to show all the significant trees on the property on a plan. They have to have, topographic information. They've got to have, parking. A lot of it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And so what I'm suggesting that we do is we take the pieces of information we think that we need the planning board to look at in order to evaluate this application. We put it in the solar legislation itself and says if you're putting in an application for a solar installation, you have to supply the following information for review by the town. And then in the special permit section say that both that and accessory apartments, which is also a residential thing, are exempt from site plan because it just doesn't make any sense to ask for that kind of thing.
Right.
So that's what the 2 of those are all about. With respect to the ethics board, our ethics board legislation, we found out has a limitation in there for people who serve on the board not being able to serve more than 2 terms consecutively. The last time that the board met was, 12 years or so ago. And it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me to have a regular thing where people sign up for it and never actually show up at a meeting. So I'm recommending that we eliminate that requirement from that law so that we can retain the people that we have. It's not easy to find lots of new people for those things, as I'm sure you're aware. And last is incentive zoning. This is a new concept. The idea behind it from a state law perspective is it allows the town board to make decisions related to developers that may be coming in and asking for some kind of exception to zoning or code in exchange for them providing some other benefit to the town that they think is of equivalent or equal value. This law was drafted by looking at 4 different other municipalities and borrowing from them. It allows a fair amount of flexibility, but the kinds of things that I was thinking about is that somebody who's doing a development, you could, for example, let them have a little extra density if they were going to say, build a sewer system or a sewer plant that was more capacity than they have to for their project, or perhaps if they were required, you could ask them to put in a second access for, emergency access for vehicles and that kind of stuff. It's just a way of formalizing a way for the developer in the town to kind of negotiate some flexibility in terms of what they can do in exchange for providing some amenity to the community. And so I'd ask that you just kind of look at it, see what you think, and let me know what your thinking is.
If I may,
Sure.
okay. The only thing that was glaring here was that, and maybe Mr. Ackerman can help me here.
Mhm.
Do we have to add here a paragraph that says that these are subject to public referendum? In other words, in most of the codes, the public can ask for a referendum, not that it's automatic. And I just thought the same thing should be part of this.
I don't know if we want to tie it up with a public referendum, really.
That's not what I
again,
said.
No, I don't think that's the question, if I may. I hate to be speaking on behalf of Joe here, but I think Joe is asking whether it's required,
Okay, okay.
right? Whether it requires, whether it's subject to.
Because most of the zoning has that little paragraph for.
Paul, do you know the answer to that?
So with regard to changing zoning, potentially it could be subject to a permissive referendum. But once it's adopted, most of the provisions that are contained in the incentive zoning wouldn't require a permissive referendum.
Okay,
Okay, but the law itself would be.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
and then the other thing is that 240 XX4B says not to exceed 100% increase. Is that kind of high? Could we say 50%? Just a thought. We're not voting on it tonight.
No, of course not.
That
Okay.
was just something that hit me. And
Now, that's a good point, because we allow, in a number of places in our code, we allow for extra density. We'd never allow anything remotely close to that. I'll check and see what we use elsewhere. That's a good point.
okay, well, I know for the pre-existing non-conforming, we raised that to 50%.
Right, and my recollection is that the bonus that you can get in
Open space zoning,
open space is either 25 or 50% as well.
yeah.
So I'll check. That's a good
Okay.
catch.
And
As I said, I kind of pirated this from a couple of other municipalities and read through it. But this is exactly why I'm giving it out to you guys. Take a look at this and see if
Right.
there's anything that jumps out at you.
Permitted incentives, D. Change of use. That might need a little more, like a caveat being that it not disrupt the existing zoning or neighborhood.
Now, on the rec fees, where the town's getting rec fees from the builders, can that be changed? So it could be for water and sewer, something different, or no? Or even for maintenance, there's no provision for that?
No, the state only as far as I know, the state only allows us to collect recreation fees and be set aside only for recreation.
Okay.
Capital improvements.
What could be done there, by the way, is, hang on a second, let me look at this. I actually don't think that, construction of recreation. Approval of public. Yeah, under the amenities, it says construction of recreation. Oh, you're asking, could like water and sewer fees be reduced or something along those lines?
No, how we're collecting a rec fee from the builders, can we collect the water and sewer and not eliminate the rec fees because we have enough in there, or could do it for maintenance?
I think, what I would say is this. Both of those are subject to separate state laws.
Yep.
Water and sewer is very specific how that has to be built out in terms of benefit units and the like. There's probably a provision in here, as I said before, if they were going to build out a sewer plant and they wanted to provide extra capacity in exchange for some other benefit, then that would be permitted. But waiving the ones that they have to pay for their own use, I don't believe is something that is something that the town would be able to do. Similarly, with recreation, state law says that subdivisions have to provide park land. And it says that the town at its option can accept fees instead of the land, but that's pretty much all.
Okay.
So that's the way that is worded. So,
And those fees still have to be used for recreation.
right, because those fees are, the reason that you can accept the fees is because the fees have to be used for providing the same kind of increase in park capacity that it would if they gave you
You
land.
still
So
have
you can collect the fees and then you can buy land,
yeah.
but it pretty much boils down to either or. So waiving that stuff, I don't think is a good idea, and I'm not sure it's even permitted.
We can only buy land with it, correct?
No, you can construct all
Any
kinds of
capital
things
movement.
as well. You can use the facility, for example. For example, we use those rec fees to replace all of the playground at Freedom, for example.
Yes.
So you can do that kind of things. There's a little gray area where it says you can use it for rehabilitating, but you can't use it for maintenance.
Yes.
And I'm not sure either one of that distinction is something that's crystal clear to everyone. But nevertheless, that's the wording. And my take on that is, if you have a hole in the roof, you can't use it to patch the hole. But if the entire building fell down and you had to bulldoze it and you had to build a new building, you could do that.
Yep.
So that's kind of how that works. Okay, so take a look at that, please, and let me know what you think. Lastly, I have Courtney and I and some others have been kind of talking around Community Day a little bit here. I've had a conversation with the county regarding this. I think that the technical guidance right now for a large event at the park would be limited to 33% of the capacity. If somebody can figure out what the capacity of Freedom Park is, that might be interesting. But what the county also said is they said for these kind of events, what they're really interested in is whether there's going to be some focus on people wearing masks and having distancing and whether we'd have enough staff there to ensure that that was going on. And Courtney and I talked about that a little bit. And I think we kind of concluded that at some point that's going to seem less fun to people than we like. In addition to that, I'm concerned that we might have a much smaller amount of vendors that want to come because they're concerned about, being there. And most importantly, what I'm really concerned about is that at the end of that event, we normally have the high school band on the band shell. That area is normally packed with people that are nowhere near 6 feet apart. And then it's followed by fireworks that would have the same kind of issues. So I'm not optimistic with the current guidelines, we'd be able to do this appropriately. Not to mention the fact that I have no idea whether the school would allow their band to perform either. The school's been closed, so. I think Courtney has proposed that we have a community kind of event in June that's very limited in scope, having a Community Day 5K race, a discount for people going to Freedom Lake, maybe have some music that people could listen to in the parks, a kind of a touch a truck or look at a truck event, and perhaps having some fireworks, which we limit in the same way that we did the fireworks last year, and to really push the real event into the fall, couple it with the fall festival, and look at planning a broader event that might be a 2-day event in September, which I like the idea of.
I think we're safer doing that, Alan.
Yeah, okay. It's certainly possible that between now and early June, the governor will change the guidelines, but we're really running out of time in terms of trying to plan for it, right? We're talking about an event that's, less than two months off, and it's not the kind of thing we plan and pull together in 2 or 3 weeks. So I just don't know how we can do it properly. Courtney, did you want to chime in and say anything?
Hi. Yeah, I definitely agree. A number of rec directors I also reached out to, and they have pushed their events back to the fall too. So if we are to have our community day, like we would like to have our community day, I I anticipate a lot of the people from the surrounding communities coming to ours, which could definitely up our numbers as well. So that has played a big factor in kind of figuring out how to kind of do this in the best way we can. But we have a lot of ideas in lieu of, I think it just boils down to really our big question right now is, do we want to have fireworks, and can we have fireworks cost-wise on the 12th, as well as in a weekend-long event in the fall too? So kind of looking into that, but that's all I got right now.
My inclination is to think that we ought to be trying to have things for people to enjoy as much as we can during this entire thing. A lot of people are not going to have a chance to go to a lot of other things they would normally go to, and travel and all that kind of stuff. So if we can provide things for folks, I know that the people really appreciated what we did last year a great deal. You know, it was last summer was a tough time, and everything that we did, the people couldn't have been more appreciative of. So I think that's something we should absolutely do.
Awesome.
Okay. I have a question for Courtney.
Sure.
I went to see Courtney today, and it's the first time I've been down there that she wasn't at her chair. But the whole board, I guess, could weigh in this at the next meeting. I was thinking about, now this is uncharacteristic for me. I was thinking about a sign, which would be like a greeting card, happy 200th birthday, LaGrange kind of thing, to put out either at Freedom Park and or the town hall, to replace that 200 that looks like our street number now.
Hey, Joe?
Well, I think it would, Joe, my suggestion would be to put our crack rec and park staff on recommendations for that. Because I think they're inclined, they're almost certainly going to be better at it than any of us.
Who's that?
Our parks and rec staff can come back.
Oh, yes.
We're on
Of
it.
course. Yeah.
We're on it.
I think
You
the
got it.
chances of us coming up with something, anything remotely close to as good as what they'll come up with are low. So that would be my suggestion.
I agree with you.
Okay.
Would you be in favor of an internally lit sign for the thing?
I knew that was coming. Joe, you knew that was coming, right?
He's got to give it to me, right?
Yeah, no, you knew that was coming.
We're in the spirit of giving now.
All right. Is there anything else?
No. Ed Jessup will make the motion to adjourn.
Not yet. I would like to adjourn to executive session because we need to talk about a personnel performance issue, please.
Yep.
We can stay on here to do it. We don't need to all drive to town hall, but do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion to go in executive session.
Second?
Second
All
by
in favor?
I'm sorry, who's second?
Gary seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all opposed? Carried, okay. All right, so goodbye to everybody who's not a town board member, and Kelly, you have to stay on too as well, please.
One moment.